Hello and welcome to New Old Glass, a short little show where I take a look at the vintage lenses I've recently picked up. Or as my justification calls it, a valid business expense. Today we're looking at the Olympus Zuiko 50mm f3.5 auto macro. This is a bit of a rarity for me as I don't have many macro lenses in my collection. My only other one is the Canon 100mm f2.8L, which has been my workhorse for years. Originally I was eyeing a different Olympus lens in an auction, but the price went absolutely ballistic. Fortunately, I managed to scoop this 50mm macro for a decent price. I've been looking to expand my Olympus lineup lately as I don't have nearly enough Olympus lenses in my collection. Back to the lens itself. Originally introduced in 1975, this features 5 elements and 4 groups of 6 aperture blades. It uses a 49mm filter thread, weighs in at a light 221 grams, and uses a classic Olympus OM mount. The build quality is exactly what you'd expect from vintage Olympus. A solid metal body and a rubber focusing ring. The focus ring on my copy is surprisingly smooth for a lens that's nearly 50 years old. The aperture ring is quite small and sits right at the front of the lens. It's an interesting design choice. I usually prefer the ring at the back near the mount, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. Honestly, this lens has given me some of the most fun I've had with vintage lenses in years. Onto the performance. As the name suggests, the macro capabilities is impressive. Shooting wide open at f3.5, the performance is reasonably good. Your subjects stay quite sharp while the background just melts away. But stopping down for true macro work is where this lens really shines. Take this Hoverfly for example. I think I shot this around f8 or f11. Looking at the 100% crop, the detail is fantastic, especially around the eyes. I definitely stopped down here because the background is more visible, yet the fine details are much crisper. Another great example is the zebra blue butterfly. At 100% crop you can see the tiny dots on the antenna and the texture of the wings and even what looks like fine little hairs. When it comes to the bokeh, things get interesting. In close-up macro work, the background is incredibly smooth. You don't get much of that vintage character like bubble bokeh or busy specular highlights. But when you use this for portraits, that changes. You get these beautiful little bubble bokeh balls in the highlights. It almost looks like someone took a bubble brush and painted the background. However, a word of caution. While you can use this for portraits, you have to get uncomfortably close to your subject to get any real background separation. It works for family and friends, but I wouldn't use this for a paying client. There are far better vintage lenses for dedicated portrait work. The color rendering is another standout. I noticed during editing that the colors are very deep, the greens are especially rich and dark. Now if you want to deep focus in your macro shots, even at f22 you'll likely need to focus stack. But even stopping down for portraits, I was surprised to see some bokeh remain. This shot was taken at about f8. On the camera, the lens feels great, it's light and easy to carry all day. The focus ring is nice and large, which is helpful because the focus throw is about 2 football fields long. Now I want to see how this Zuiko handles video. Specifically, I'm looking at the focus breathing as I rack focus from the foreground to the background. I'm also watching the out of focus areas, especially the fall off. So in the end, was it worth it? Absolutely. Even though my Canon 100mm L is my professional workhorse, the Olympus 50mm has actually become my favorite of the two for pure enjoyment. It's made me want to take macro photos again, which is something I haven't done in a long time. So where does it fit in my collection? I would say for now it's my go-to for macro photography and videography. Because it can handle portraits in a pinch, it's a perfect walkabout lens and you can capture the tiny details in the larger world without switching lenses. The only similar lens I have that can work for macro is my Canon 100mm f2.8. I feel that at those two it would kind of be an unfair fight, as the one is a vintage lens with great optics and the other one is the Olympus Zuiko 50mm f3.5 auto macro. Okay, but in all seriousness, both lenses are great. If I had to choose one, get the Olympus if you're looking for a manual focus macro lens, and get the Canon 100mm f2.L if you're looking for a workhorse that can do macro and portraits equally well. I'd recommend the Olympus Zuiko 50mm f3.5 to anyone who finds a good copy at a fair price. If you have any interest in macro or just want a sharp portable lens that can shoot anything, this is a fantastic choice. But I want to hear from you. Do you have a favorite macro lens, or do you have a lens that impressed you when you didn't expect too much? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.